The world is full of strange, mysterious, and disturbing things. Here are just a few, found on the internet. On October 22, 2015 at 10:06 a.m., Anton London Peterson entered the Cronin School in Trollhättan, Sweden. He was clad in an all-black outfit with a helmet and mask on that was reminiscent of the helmet and mask worn by Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies. As he made his way through the hallways, various classmates saw Anton, but figured that this was either a joke or a prank, or perhaps an early Halloween stunt. His true intentions, however, were much more sinister. Anton carried with him a Viking-style sword, which many onlookers believed was fake. However, they were proven horribly wrong when Anton attacked, stabbed, and killed 20-year-old teaching assistant Lavin Iskander, who died on the spot from his injuries. Tragically, Lavin wasn't even supposed to be working that day. However, he had decided to cover for a colleague who was sick. Directly after this, at 10:08 a.m., a call was made to the police reporting the attack. Moving on from this, Anton proceeded to attack a fellow student, Ahmed Hassan, who was 15 years old. Anton stabbed him with the sword, and ultimately Ahmed died from the injuries he sustained. This, however, was not the end of Anton's attack. After this, Anton began wandering the halls in his outfit, sword in hand. That's where two students spotted him, and thinking it was a costume and Anton was dressed up as part of an elaborate prank, took a picture with him in the hallways of the school. Shortly after this picture was taken, Anton went on to stab 42-year-old teacher Nazir Amso when Nazir asked him to remove his mask. Nazir also ultimately died from his injuries in the hospital 6 weeks later. Anton then knocks on the door of a random classroom, and when student Wahed Kosa opens the door and asks who he is, Anton proceeds to stab him as well, making him the fourth stabbing victim. Kosa manages to slip back inside the classroom and close and lock the door. All of this took place within around 10 minutes, which is approximately how long it took the police to respond to the first call that was made. At 10:16 a.m., police patrols arrive, rush into the school, and see Anton. They yell at him to drop the sword, and when he instead raises the sword over his head and begins rushing toward the officers, they shoot him. A short time later, he dies of his injuries. It was later determined, based on his online history and the message boards he was participating in, that this attack was racially motivated, as somewhat of a pushback against immigration into Sweden. The chilling photo of Anton posing with two students, blood-stained sword in his hand, in the middle of his violent rampage, is certain to provoke unease within those who know the context of the picture. On this channel, we have played various 911 calls of wide degrees of excitement or panic. Typically, a 911 call involving someone's death is usually panicked, frantic, or even hysterical. That was not the case regarding the phone call to 911 made by Ricky Green in Trumbull, Ohio, detailing his own crime.
911, what is your emergency?
Is this sheriff's department?
Yes?
I just killed my wife. I need you to come out here. Bring an ambulance and a sheriff. My dogs are in the backyard.
Okay, how did you do this?
I shot her with a fucking shotgun.
Alright, what's your name?
Ricky Green.
Ricky Green?
Yes. The shotgun's laying on the porch, on the couch. Tell them to come up here, bring an ambulance. I'm pretty sure she's dead.
Okay, where is she at, sir?
And she's sitting in a here. Here in my house. I just shot her. Send the deputy sheriff.
Okay. Why did you do this?
Well, because she been on me since December the 6th, and she come home tonight and told me she on me again. I'm trying to get a divorce from her, and she won't leave, and she just have another send a deputy sheriff.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she's dead.
Okay. Yeah, we're sending them now. I just want to...
Send them now. Send them now, I'm telling you.
Your phone number is...
That's her phone number. It's a cell phone. You need to send a deputy sheriff. You can send an ambulance, but I'm pretty sure she's dead.
Okay, what was...
I will not pick up this weapon again.
Okay, and where are you going to be in the house?
I'll be at the door.
Okay, and what's her name, sir?
Ricky Green.
Ricky?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that short for something else?
No, ma'am. It's the house up in the back.
House in the back here in Green Township, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Green called the Trumbull County Sheriff's Office very calmly, notifying them that he had shot his wife because she was unfaithful to him. He even says that he won't touch the gun and will wait for the sheriffs to get there. The eerily calm way Ricky Green makes this 911 call, detailing the murder of his wife, is enough to give you chills. However, later on in court, Green recounts the events with a little more emotional gusto, and a slight change in what happened in regards to the shooting itself.
Your Honor, 6 years of my life, I've been a Judeo-Christian. I've done my best. I believe, I fear God. I'm awed by God. I've done my best not to lie, cheat, or steal. I have been my brother's keeper. For 18 years, I was in love with my wife more than I could ever know. The last 7 years, I got to holding her up and say, Lord, thank you for what you have gave me. Instead of holding my soul up to my Savior and say, look what I have for you, Lord. December the 7th, I got an email from a young man, and I asked my wife, I said, who is this? And she said, I do not know. So I deleted it. December the 8th, I got another email from this man, and I opened it up on our personal email at my home. And it said, my sweet little Janelle, I cannot wait to be with you again. And I printed it out and I took it up to my wife and I asked her, I said, Janelle, what does this mean? And she looked at me and said, we've been blanking and blanking for a long time. And why won't you die? My heart was broken. And I cried for 3 or 4 days. And I begged her, I said, please tell him not to send emails to my home, to our home. Please do not. And she turned to me and said, I'll do anybody I want to when I want to, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. And I cried for more days. And I quit looking at the email. So they started phone tagging in front of me. And she'd look at me and say, why won't you die? This went on for 3 or 4 days. I could not stand it. I would not go in the house. I said, I'll give you anything you want, anything. We will sell the place, I'll give you half. We'll put it on fast track, I will give you a divorce. And she looked at me and she said, why won't you die? I said, Janelle, I cannot do that. We went on another 3 or 4 days. I said, I will give you anything you want. She got up and looked outside and she said, I want this whole place. For 17 years I have been your servant. I never loved you. What little bit of heart I had was killed more. I went insane, still insane. We started a sale. Gonna sell everything off so I could give her half of whatever she wanted. The day of the sale, she had her boyfriend come out there and followed me around the 16th of January, followed me around every step of my place. And I worked hard for her to supply for us. The 17th, she come in from work and she sat down. She said, "Since you refuse to die, me and John is going to drag you out tonight of your bed and hold you down on the ground until you die, and no one will know the difference or care." And in anger, I snatched up the gun and it went off. And I threw the gun on the couch, then I grabbed her head and I screamed, "Oh my God." And I watched her eyes roll back at her last breath. And she don't know, she got what she wanted because I died right then. I died right then. Forgive me, God. That's all I got to say, Your Honor.
However, due to the initial emotionless 911 call, most believed that his courtroom retelling was simply an act to make himself look better. Ricky Green pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 years to life in prison for the murder of his wife. On August 26, 2015, Allison Parker, a reporter for a local news station called Mornin' in Roanoke, Virginia, met her cameraman Adam Ward for their first interview of the morning. They were scheduled to interview a woman named Vicki Gardner, who is the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce, which typically assists in improving local businesses through networking, campaigning, and advocacy. The interview was in regards to a 50th anniversary party for the nearby Smith Mountain Lake. Nearby, a man by the name of Vester Lee Flanagan had also arrived at the same location as Allison and Adam. He had actually worked at the same news station, WDBJ, with both Allison and Adam for a period of time before being let go in 2013. Neither Allison, who was conducting the interview, Adam, who was behind the camera, or Vicki, who was being interviewed, really noticed Flanagan approaching them. That is, until Flanagan pulled out a handgun and began firing, killing Allison Parker and Adam Ward, and striking Vicki Gardner. After firing about 15 shots, Flanagan quickly put his handgun away and left the scene. Allison and Adam were pronounced dead at the scene, but Vicki Gardner would be rushed to the hospital where she would eventually make a recovery. Flanagan had actually taken a first-person style video of himself committing the shooting, but it was also slightly caught by Ward's camera, which he immediately dropped once the shots were fired. The footage, which proceeded to go viral, is disturbing to watch, so viewer discretion is advised. It didn't take long for authorities to establish that it was Flanagan who had committed the shooting, and within a few hours Flanagan had faxed ABC News a confession and a suicide note. Police quickly tracked his phone in order to attempt to locate him. Flanagan then abandoned the original car he was driving, which was a Ford Mustang, at the local airport, and then rented a Chevy Sonic. However, due to his ID being tied to the rental, it wasn't long before authorities had an alert out for the rental's car's license plate. And soon, an automated license plate reader from the vehicle of a state trooper flagged Flanagan's car on a nearby interstate highway. The officer attempted to initiate a traffic stop, but Flanagan sped away. While driving, Flanagan pulled out his gun and shot himself multiple times, which caused his car to run off the side of the road and hit an embankment. Flanagan was dead by the time the state trooper arrived at his vehicle. His motives for committing the shooting were narrowed down to posts and statements he made during the weeks and months leading up to the attack. Primarily, what he felt was discrimination against him by his coworkers regarding his race and sexual orientation, even naming Adam and Allison by name at one point. Throughout his time working at WDBJ, multiple complaints were filed against him for his erratic behavior, and many reported feeling uncomfortable around him. This attack not only sparked the already controversial conversation around gun laws, but also, interestingly enough, the conversation around graphic content in the media. Since this attack was captured on camera, news outlets and online media platforms like YouTube and Twitter were distributing the video online. Despite the best efforts by the news station and others, once a video goes viral or is even posted to the internet, even one depicting such a heinous attack as this, it is nearly impossible to censor it or stop it from being shown or posted. Advocates for the censoring of the video of the shooting attempted to create an NFT of the video so they could claim copyright on anyone who uploaded it and potentially get the video taken down.
The storm had changed. We had thought it was going up the western coast of Florida, but then it turned and the path was directly upon.
They had hours to go on the road because there was so many people evacuating to the area. It was just taking a long time.
We hunkered down. We were covering the story, and we decided that we needed to make preparations to get out of where we were because. Obviously, we didn't think the transmitter was going to withstand the influx of water, and we were going to be off the air at some point.
In August of 2005, a Category 5 Atlantic hurricane made landfall near the southeast coast of the United States, primarily near Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi. The terrifying footage that still exists today serves as documentation for this horrifying natural disaster. The destruction, loss of life, homelessness, and fear that were caused by Hurricane Katrina are still vividly remembered to this day, and it is still considered one of the worst natural disasters in U.S. history. However, the topic of this section is not the hurricane itself, but something that was discovered after. The largest loss of life due to Hurricane Katrina was seen in New Orleans due to flooding. The devastation in New Orleans was well documented in articles, videos, and news reports. But as rescue crews moved in and out of various areas, they would leave behind an eerie remnant of the homes that were visited. This, which initially might look like some spray-painted symbol, is what later would come to be known as an X code, or officially, search codes by FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Search and rescue teams would come in, search the house, and depending on what they found inside, they would spray paint this X code somewhere visible on the facade of the house. Reading these X codes is as follows. The top of the X typically delineated the date and the time the search and rescue team arrived at the house. Moving clockwise around the X was the shorthand for what the team found inside that was potentially hazardous. The bottom number were the number of people found inside. Finally, the leftmost quadrant was for identifying the search and rescue team that was at that location. Although these markings ultimately were utilitarian in nature, the spray-painted scrawl on the sides of houses devastated by the hurricane sat as an eerie reminder of the homes and lives lost during that natural disaster. And as the images of these houses became more widespread due to being posted online, the X codes became almost a cultural phenomenon, an unsettling symbol of the fragility and unpredictability of life. For some, the idea of exploring an abandoned building, town, or factory simply has no appeal at all whatsoever. But for many, there is a deep fascination and curiosity around urban places that mankind has seemingly forgotten. Large office buildings and factories that have been long empty and falling apart, and old houses whose owners have long since left their residence to decay are very popular among those who have an interest in abandoned urban exploration. However, if you cannot make it to these locations or just don't have the stomach to go yourself, there is a whole genre of YouTube videos which capitalizes on urban exploration. And just by itself, many of these places are eerie and haunting on their own.
Yeah, this is a pretty good sized building. not fully collapsed. Not much in here. Just some old tires that were thrown in here. Not sure what that is. There's not much left of it. Maybe an old stove?
The appeal of these urban exploration videos comes from not only the eeriness of being in a place that's abandoned, but also from the inherent fear that one does not know what lurks in the dark corners of these abandoned areas. The fear that some of these places may not be so empty after all. One such fearless explorer with the YouTube channel Urbex Hill released one particular video filming himself exploring the large abandoned Westinghouse factory in Cleveland, Ohio. Westinghouse being one of the largest power companies in the post-World War II era. This factory, however, was well and truly abandoned, making it a prime destination for those seeking to explore these creepy areas. But Urbex Hill may have gotten more than he bargained for on this particular trip.
Is that a dead end? Can't tell. Yeah, it's a dead end. This place is so wet. Oh, scared the fuck out of me. Yo. You need some help, bro? Yo. Fuck that. He's not even responding. I'm gonna leave him alone. Get the fuck out of his way. Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Urbex Hill comes across a man silently crouched in one of the corners of the abandoned factory. A sight straight out of any scripted horror film. The fact that he stumbled upon him randomly like this means that this unknown man, possibly a homeless man or transient, was hiding in this corner, in the complete darkness, for an indeterminate amount of time. Being the nice guy he is, Urbex Hill, after getting the absolute bejesus scared out of him, decides to go back and see if the man needs any help.
Damn, bro. That's actually kind of sad. You know what? I'm gonna help that dude out. I'm gonna leave him some money. Let's see what I got. Let me give this dude a $20 bill. That's up, sleeping down here like that. Real cautious though. I don't want to wake him up and freak him out. Yo. Yo. Hey, I got some money for you. Shit, he's not there. And he's not responding. Damn it. I bet you he's in that room right there.
But upon returning to the original location, the man is gone. As far as creepy encounters when exploring abandoned areas go, this one is sure to be at the top of the list, and serves as a great reason why many people skip out on this unsettling yet fascinating hobby.
Oh shit. Y'all look. Damn, there's a bunch of homeless people down here. Damn. I'm gonna get out of here.
Craigslist is a website where people can post job openings, housing, items for sale, services, community service, gigs, the list goes on and on. The amount of things you can find on Craigslist is massive, and it ranges from items like golf clubs to full-time employment. In 2011, a job posting was uploaded to Craigslist. The listing appeared simple. The poster was looking for a caretaker to watch over a nearly 700-acre area of farmland in southern Ohio. The job listed said it paid $300 a week. This was the real listing. Simply watch over a 688-acre patch of a hilly farmland and feed a few cows. You get $300 a week and a nice 2-bedroom trailer. Someone older and single preferred, but will consider all. Relocation a must. You must have a clean record and be trustworthy. This is a permanent position. The farm is used mainly as a hunting preserve, is overrun with game, has a stocked 3-acre pond, but some beef cattle will be kept nearest neighbors a mile away. The place is secluded and beautiful. It will be a real getaway for the right person. Job of a lifetime. A few did respond to this ad and were interviewed directly by the poster Jack and his nephew Brogan. One man who responded to the ad was Scott Davis. He met Jack and Brogan for breakfast and an in-person interview, after which he left the restaurant with Jack and Brogan to go see the farmland for himself. As Scott Davis was exiting the car to survey the farmland, he heard a soft click behind him. He turned to see Jack holding a gun. The click he heard was the gun misfiring. In an instant, Davis attempted to run away, but Jack managed to get a shot off and hit him in the arm. Somehow, Davis managed to get away from Jack and Brogan and disappeared in the woods, running and hiding for several hours before coming across a house, where he got help from the homeowner. After making it to safety and reporting the incident, news of the deadly Craigslist ad began to circulate, which sparked some people to reach out to police about their own experiences regarding this ad. One woman who reached out to police was named Deborah Bruce. Apparently, her twin brother, David Pauly, had responded to presumably the exact same ad, and was never heard from again. Police realized a pattern was forming. Jack and Brogan were searching for middle-aged men with few family ties who would be easy to dispose of with little attention. When they went to investigate the area where Davis said he fled from the perpetrators, police made a chilling discovery: a freshly dug grave, presumably for Davis. As they investigated further, even more murders began to be tied to Jack, who police later confirmed was actually a man by the name of Richard Beasley, who had changed his identity trying to avoid prison time in Texas. Upon searching Beasley's residence, they found what they deemed a killing kit, filled with weapons and an eerie poem on his computer dated August 16, 2011 that read, "We took him out to the woods on a humid summer's night. The loud crack echoed and I didn't hear the thud," which was assumed to describe the murder of one of his victims. They finally arrested Beasley in November of 2011 along with his accomplice, the young man who was his fake nephew, Brandon Rafferty, who Beasley took under his wing. All in all, 4 victims fell prey to this deadly Craigslist ad. Rafferty was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and the mastermind behind the whole thing, Richard Beasley, was given 3 death sentences in 2018 for his crimes. Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor is quoted as saying, "Over a period of 3 months, he methodically lured multiple victims through ads promising jobs, interviewing multiple candidates to eliminate those most likely to fight back or be missed. And when he was arrested in November 2011, he had already posted a new ad to lure more victims." Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. To offset some of the creepiness found here, here's some videos of cute animals. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.